Shrine of Lucy. In the central section of the panel, we find the church layout with its relating key on the left. On the right part, we find essential information about the building and the design of the facade overlooking Campo San Geremia. Introduction. The church, initially dedicated to Saint Jeremiah, was proclaimed the Shrine of Saint Lucy in 2018, in honor of the saint from Syracuse who protects the sight of people. Her relics have been kept in this church since 1860, moved from the nearby Palladian church in her name, demolished in 1861 to make room for the train station. The shrine is located at the intersection between the Canale di Cannaregio and the Canal Grande. It faces north upon Campo San Geremia and east on the Fondamenta di Calabria that runs along the Canale di Cannaregio. The first work site dates to the 7th century thanks to Saint Magnus. In 1174, it was rebuilt with 3 naves and consecrated to Saint Jeremiah in 1292. Demolished, the church was entirely rebuilt between 1753 and 1760, and the design was entrusted to the abbot from Brescia, Carlo Corbellini, who added the Greek cross layout to the original form. The design has 3 facades, one on the Canal Grande, another on Campo San Geremia, both at the end of the transept, and the main one overlooking the Fondamenta di Calabria, which in turn has a view of the Canale di Cannaregio. When, in 1860, the relics of Saint Lucy were brought to the Church of Saint Jeremiah, the entrance from the Canal Grande was closed, and the apse was enlarged to make room for the chapel dedicated to this saint. Layout. The shrine is located at the corner of Campo San Geremia, right alongside the Renaissance Palazzo Labia. The layout is a Greek cross with the nave, number 1, intersected by the transept, number 2. We find, where they meet, a large dome with frescoed ceiling resting on 4 sturdy pillars surrounded by pairs of Corinthian columns. The dotted line marks the dome projection. The nave overlooks Fondamenta di Calabria. It ends to the west with the presbytery, number 3, and the main altar, number 4, where we can admire the 18th century statues of Saint Peter and the prophet Jeremiah by Giovanni Ferrari, called Il Torretto. To the sides of the presbytery, we find 2 chapels of the Rosary on the left, number 5, and the chapel of the Immaculate Conception on the right. The Baroque-style church interior is characterized by a succession of rooms that host 10 altars, number 6, 2 smaller ones towards the Fondamenta di Calabria entrance, and 8 more richly decorated ones with columns in marble that frame paintings or statues of saints. In particular, in the one found below to the right near the sacristy, we find the only ancient painting belonging to the ancient church, Saint Magnus crowning Venice in the presence of the Virgin, by Jacopo Palma the Younger, dating to the 17th century. In the facing altar, next to the Chapel of the Rosary, we find the wooden statue of the Miraculous Crucifix, which for many centuries was the church's most venerated relic and was donated in 1602 by the Capuchin Father Francesco da Mula. This is a miraculous statue of Christ. In fact, it supposedly was not made by any human artist but through divine intervention. The entrance of Campo San Geremia is through a doorway found at the end of the transept and preceded by a steep staircase. On the opposite side of the transept we find the Chapel of Saint Lucy, number 7, whose altar displays an urn containing the relics of this saint from Syracuse. The chapel was accurately rebuilt, disassembling and reassembling the one in the Church of St. Lucy, demolished in 1861 to build the train station. From the door to the right of the chapel, we enter the small museum and bookshop, number 8. Further to the right, we find the Chapel of Saint Veneranda, number 9, located where the Scuola dei Morti, a small 17th century building rebuilt after the 1849 Austrian bombings, was once found. On the left side of the chapel, where the Canal Grande and the Canal Canareggio meet, we see the 17th century rectory, number 10. Located between Calabria and the church, we find the 13th century Romanesque bell tower in terracotta, number 11, whose upper section is Gothic in style. In the bottom right corner of the shrine, we have the 18th century sacristy, number 12, where Mass during weekdays is celebrated. Facade. The main entrance to the church is today found at the corner of Campo San Geremia alongside Palazzo Labia. The facade was completed in 1871. It is built with Istria stone and occupies the width of the transept with a doorway preceded by a steep staircase. The facade is characterized by 2 Corinthian columns that support the arched tympanum joined to the narrow side wings by curvilinear elements. To the right of the facade, we discover the building has 3 levels that host, on the first floor, the sacristy. Above the facade, the church's profile stands out with its tall dome and roof lantern. The opposite side, facing Canal Grande, offers a facade similar to the one on Campo San Geremia, but between the 2 columns the space is walled in. This wall presents an inscription clearly visible from Canal Grande, added during World War I and stating, "Lucia, Virgin from Syracuse, Martyr of Christ, lies in the temple, imploring light and peace for Italy and the world."